You've seen the title already. It's happened again. This is unfortunately not the first and probably not the last. It seems like the anime industry has done a massive whoopsie once again. So without further ado, let's bring forth to the spotlight the crap star of today's video, Ito Koichiro. He is known for some pretty well-known movies, anime films that have come out over the past decade, as it says here on his IMDb page. Your Name, Suzume, Garden of Words, as well as Weathering with You, with his role being the producer, the main producer for all of these huge films. Now, if you have no idea about any of these films, then you need to know of a gentleman called Shinkai Makoto. He's probably become one of the most well-known anime directors of the past 10-15 years or so, creating, again, some of the most beloved, beautiful, serene, picturesque anime films that have ever been put to screen, with especially Your Name being a massive success, not just in Japan, but also internationally as well. Now, me personally, I thought Your Name was pretty good. I definitely did prefer Weathering with You just as a film experience, and Garden of Words is one of my favorite Shinkai films, but it seems like that whole production team and this whole filmography may be tarnished forever. We have an article here, and man, when I saw this article, bro, I just put my head in my hands and went, oh my lord, not this shit again. Producer of anime film Suzume, Your Name, arrested on suspicion of soliciting nude images from a minor. And no, I'm not talking about the kind of people who go mining. I'm talking about underage people. Children. A 15-year-old girl has allegedly accused Japanese producer Koichiro Ito of asking for her nude selfies. Christ almighty. So let's read through this article, shall we? Let's figure out how this shit show happened at all. The Japanese producer Koichiro Ito, who contributed to some of the most successful anime films ever, was taken into custody this week in Tokyo by the Wakayama Prefectural Police. A 15-year-old girl has allegedly accused him of asking for her nude selfies. That's a big accusation, bro, especially towards someone who is of quite a high stature in his industry. But the producer of Your Name allegedly met the teenager on social media, according to a report published on Thursday's edition of Mainichi Shimbun, the local newspaper in Japan. In September of 2021, it came to light that the 52-year-old producer, God, why, had reportedly forced the 15-year-old girl to give him explicit photos. TBS, a broadcaster in Tokyo, also revealed that Ito gave the little girl around 12,500 yen, or about $85 USD, in return for the photos. He was put under arrest on Wednesday since this is against the Child Prostitution and PNG Prohibition Act in Japan. What the actual hell is going on? What is it that drives these people to do this? I've always been just morbidly curious as to what exactly drives these people to do such acts. This is a 52-year-old man asking a 15-year-old girl for stuff that he should know fully well is completely illegal, completely immoral, completely disgusting, and yet I don't know what compelled him to be like, hey, you know what, I feel bad for asking for these photos for free, so here's a little bit of pocket money for you, dog. This is the Your Name money that I got. This is the Your Name bag that we managed to get after all of those international successes. Like, it's actually just freaking egregious. Like, it just makes me wonder, like, is this guy not, like, married with potentially children? I don't know what his marital status is, but that's besides the point. Even if you were a single 52-year-old man, right? You're doing this kind of stuff, you should know better than to not do this kind of stuff, because not only are you going to tarnish your own image and your own career, which this IMDb page shows very clearly, you were on a freaking roll. You were making some fantastic movies, producing some fantastic movies with a very talented animation team and a very talented director. And then you go out of your way to just completely ruin that, not only for yourself, but also for the people that are working around you. Like, I want to know what Shinkai thinks about this stuff, because clearly this man was clearly in a high position. Like, he was probably, being in a producer role, was probably the right-hand man of Shinkai, or at least someone who was very close to the vicinity of Shinkai, around the same level as the director, right? A producer is a very big role in any kind of production, but to go like, hey, I'm just gonna backstab the dude that made me the millions and millions of dollars and the worldwide acclaim and fan base that I had accumulated thanks to my contribution with these beautiful, fantastic anime films, is just going to go straight down the toilet for something that you should know better, you should not have done. But listen, I've been covering all sorts of news stories on this channel for a while now, and one thing I always need to make sure is that I'm not just catering to one side of the story, whether it be a political, a moral, or a personal bias. I like to get the full picture of the story before forming my own thoughts and opinions on videos like this, and that's why I use Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that aggregates news from all over the world in one place, so you can see where the bias leans, who owns the source, the factuality, and compare headlines. I use Ground News to find a lot of Japan-based articles I cover in videos, including today's topic as well, which I found by looking through the Japan interest section of Ground News. As you can see here, on the top right, we can see the coverage details. So this article has over 19 sources reporting. We can visually see where the source's bias leans on the bias distribution chart, with a majority leaning left and center. I can scroll down and see every article, and best of all, we can compare headlines. Look how this story has been framed by the left and the right. This is an outlet from Japan. The language being used from the left describes it as a controversy, but isn't as direct to name the issue as the source on the right. Regardless of what kind of bias you might have towards anything, Ground News makes sure to collect all of that together so you can get the same piece of news from every single point of reference. One of my favorite features of Ground News is the blind spot feed right here, which shows you stories that you might miss in your media bubble that are disproportionately reported by either the left or the right. Ground News is my go-to source for staying informed. I effortlessly keep up with global news without feeling overwhelmed by biased algorithms. It not only lets me think critically, but also allows me to form my own opinions about a piece of news and discover stories I might have missed otherwise. I think Ground News is doing some really important work, and I hope you'll check them out. So if you'd like to check it out, you can click the link in the description below to get 40% off unlimited access with the Vantage plan. That is the plan that I use, and it's only $5 a month. Thank you to Ground News for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to this unfortunate topic. The anime industry and its fan base have been shaken by the shocking revelation. Ito has been associated with some of the most beloved anime series over the years, with credits spanning over 20 years in the industry. The NHK, the national broadcaster of Japan, confirmed that Ito accepted the accusations made against him. Also, he mentioned in his conversations with the investigators that he had previously interacted with a girl who was underage. It was stated that he had reportedly encouraged teenage girls to email him pictures of themselves. The potential victims have been reported, and the police are searching for them. Anime fans are clearly deeply affected by this disturbing development, which seriously harmed their loving bond with the anime films that frequently act as a starting point for new audiences. And honestly, this article couldn't have said it any better. Like, it really does just like, not only just tarnish these films, and not only tarnish the credibility of people who are working, with the production of anime films to make sure it goes outside of its current fan base and try to reach new audiences, which is very much what these three movies actually successfully ended up doing, especially Your Name. Like, I know a ton of people outside of the anime fan base who I know personally, who actually was like, hey, you know what? I was never really interested in anime films, but I heard about this, like, Your Name movie. You were saying it was a good film. People around me were saying it was a good film. So I went to go check it out. And yeah, it was actually a very beautiful film, like very well created, very emotional, very atmospheric film that even people who don't like anime can very much get into. So it was all great. But now when you hear of Your Name, when you hear of any of these Shinkai films, you're just immediately going to think of this shit. And what's the message that's going to portray to not only people in the anime fandom already, but people outside of the anime fandom? People are going to be like, oh god, if this guy is doing it, who was so acclaimed, who made these fantastic movies, then God knows however many other fucking creeps there are lurking around in the anime and manga industry. And the sad truth of the matter is that, yeah, they are out there. And it is fucking sad, because it's already making it so difficult for the medium of manga and anime to be projected outside of that current fan base. Like, people outside of the fan base now are not going to be able to take it seriously, as if they weren't taking it seriously already, because of like this. Like, I hate seeing these pieces of news every single goddamn time. And, you know, if you've been on my channel in the past, you've seen me talk about other, you know, mangakas and light novel authors and producers and, you know, people in the backgrounds of anime production getting into similar situations like this. And look, this is not to say that this only ever happens to like people in the anime industry, people in the manga industry. Obviously, there are people who are doing sketchy, illegal, immoral stuff like this in any industry. As someone who loves the medium of manga, loves the medium of anime, it's really fucking heartbreaking for me, especially, to see it happening to the medium that I love, to see it happening to the people that, for one split second, I was like admiring the works of, and now it's just so difficult to be able to do that. And look, you know, some people will throw in that argument that I hear every single time when I cover news stories like this of, Joey, you have to separate the artist from the art, bro. Like, just because the artist did some shitty things doesn't mean the art is a shitty thing. But, I mean, dude, if you even gave a shit, even if you gave one little smidge of a shit towards the victims involved in stuff like this, then you wouldn't support the art. But look, for example, right? Me personally, I freaking loved Rurouni Kenshin growing up. And there's a lot of aspects of Rurouni Kenshin I still love. But it's also really difficult to go out there and recommend Rurouni Kenshin to people, knowing the fact that Wazuki, the creator of Rurouni Kenshin, was caught and charged and I guess now dismissed for similar actions. Same thing happened with the manga Act Age, where the writer of Act Age was caught doing the same kind of stuff, so much so that the manga actually got cancelled, even though that was a manga that had so much goddamn potential in it, and I was loving every single chapter of it week by week. For that to just suddenly get cut off because one person involved made a really, really dumb mistake, like a detrimental freaking mistake, is just like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to like blindly stand here and tell you guys that, oh, you know what, that person did this crappy thing, but that doesn't take away from like the love of the craft? No, like you can't be blind to that kind of stuff. If you cared at all about the actual real life people involved, then you would do everything in your power to not support that, which sucks, right? Because in the case with a manga, for instance, right, it's only a couple of people involved. In the case with Act Age, it was the, you know, author who got caught for all the crappy stuff, and then the illustrator got roped into it and their career got ruined because of that. But when you're talking about anime films, this is not just like a couple of people involved. This is tens, sometimes hundreds of people involved in this. Hundreds and hundreds of names in the credits of these works who are, unfortunately, whether they like it or not, going to get roped into this kind of story, are going to get roped into this kind of reputation, because once one person in a high position ruins the work and does something really stupid in their real life, then that ruins the reputation for everybody else involved. Look, I want to say that, you know, I hope that Makoto Shinkai, obviously, I hope this guy never freaking works in anime ever again, but I do hope that Makoto Shinkai and the other innocent, hopefully innocent, people involved with all of these works do go on to continue creating new works. In this case, it just happened to involve some of my favorite recent anime films, and that's just really freaking sad. So the real question is this: do you want to continue to support the works even though it does involve someone who committed an absolutely disgusting crime like this, an unforgivable, disgusting crime like this? Honestly, that's up to you to decide. Like, I can give you my opinions on it and my prerogative on all of it and how I'm going to continue to, you know, interact with these kinds of works that do have these tarnished reputations. But at the end of the day, I can't convince everyone to do the same with me. Like, you know, if you're able to separate the art from the artist, then good on you. For me personally, it's really difficult. And it has been for a while. And, you know, this is, again, not just involving anime and manga, but this involves, like, music artists as well. This involves things like movies as well. Because, again, this is stuff that happens to real people. Real people's lives have been changed because of incidents like this, and I personally just can't let that slide. I just cannot do it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about anything I said down in the comments below. Are you able to separate the art from the artist? What do you think about these films now that you have heard this particular news? Will you continue to support the works? Where is the boundary for you guys in terms of separating the art from the artist? I'd love to know all your thoughts and opinions, so please make sure to check it out, leave it down in the comments below, and hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smack my face right here, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep making big channel number go bigger. Over here next to my head, there's a couple more videos you can check out if you enjoyed this one, links to my social media, as well as my Patreon to support me directly, and Nonsense, my clothing line. Check it out. We're going to come out with some new clothes very, very soon, so I will leave that down in the description, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.